Welcome and take a close look at the Massachusetts Statehood Quarter. To most people, it's just another quarter, but seasoned collectors see details that others miss. What makes a few authenticated examples stand out from millions of ordinary coins, and why do experts inspect them so carefully? Let's uncover the history, craftsmanship, and hidden clues that make this modern collectible so fascinating. First coin. At first glance, the 2001 Rhode Island State Quarter appears to be just another 25-cent coin that passed through millions of hands. Yet a closer inspection reveals a fascinating story hidden within its tiny design. The graceful vintage sailboat crossing Narragansett Bay, framed by the elegant Claiborne Pell Newport Bridge, captures far more than a scenic coastal view. It represents centuries of maritime heritage, engineering achievement, and one of the most recognizable images in the entire 50-state quarters program. What makes this particular Denver Mint issue even more intriguing is that while countless examples remain common in circulation, a surprisingly small number survive in exceptional condition, and those are the coins that attract the attention of experienced collectors. Later in this documentary, you'll discover what professionally authenticated examples have actually sold for, why certain pieces command dramatically higher premiums than ordinary circulation finds, and how factors such as preservation, strike quality, rarity, certification, and collector demand ultimately determine whether this seemingly ordinary quarter is worth only face value or considerably more. The Rhode Island Quarter entered circulation in 2001 as the second release of that year's State Quarters program, one of the most successful coin initiatives ever undertaken by the United States Mint. Authorized by Congress in 1997, the program celebrated each state's unique identity in the order that it joined the Union. Rhode Island, the 13th state to ratify the Constitution, received a design that reflected its deep relationship with the sea rather than focusing on political figures or government buildings. During the early years of the 21st century, the American economy was experiencing significant technological growth alongside increasing public interest in collecting the newly released state quarters. Families searched pocket change together, schools incorporated the coins into educational projects, and millions of Americans who had never considered numismatics suddenly found themselves examining every quarter they received. Against that backdrop, the 2001 Rhode Island Quarter became both a circulating coin and a cultural keepsake, encouraging an entirely new generation to appreciate American coinage. Every detail of the reverse was carefully chosen to symbolize Rhode Island's nickname, the Ocean State. The vintage sailboat reflects the state's long tradition of sailing, fishing, and maritime commerce, while the Claiborne Pell Newport Bridge stretches elegantly across the background, connecting Jamestown and Newport over the East Passage of Narragansett Bay. The official state nickname appears prominently, reinforcing the connection between geography and identity. The reverse design was created by sculptor-engraver John Mercanti, one of the United States Mint's most respected artists, while the overall engraving translated the concept into a durable circulating coin capable of enduring years of daily commerce. On the obverse appears the familiar portrait of George Washington, originally based on John Flanagan's classic design, which had already become one of the most recognizable images in American numismatic history. Together, the two sides create a balance between national heritage and state pride that helped make the series enormously popular. The D Mint mark identifies this quarter as having been struck at the Denver Mint, one of the nation's principal coin production facilities. During 2001, Denver manufactured hundreds of millions of Rhode Island quarters to satisfy nationwide circulation demand. The official mintage exceeded 447 million pieces, an enormous production figure that immediately explains why worn examples remain readily available today. Yet high mintage alone never tells the complete collecting story. Massive production schedules often require dies to remain in service for extended periods, resulting in subtle differences in strike sharpness from one production run to another. Some coins display crisp bridge cables, sharply defined sail lines, and fully detailed lettering, while others exhibit softer features caused by die wear or less than optimal striking pressure. These manufacturing differences, almost invisible to casual observers, become highly significant once collectors begin evaluating coins for the highest mint state grades. From a technical standpoint, the 2001 Rhode Island Quarter follows the standard specifications established for modern Washington quarters after the transition away from circulating silver. It consists of a copper core bonded between outer layers of copper nickel, giving the coin its familiar silvery appearance while keeping production costs practical. Each coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge containing 119 reeds that discourage clipping and help distinguish the denomination by touch. Blank planchets were punched from long metal strips, annealed to soften the alloy, cleaned, upset to raise protective rims, and finally struck under immense pressure between hardened steel dies. A freshly struck coin emerging from the presses possessed brilliant mint luster created by microscopic metal flow lines, but that delicate surface brilliance could quickly diminish once the coin entered circulation, making pristine survivors increasingly desirable as the years passed. As collectors became more familiar with grading standards, it became evident that condition rather than age would determine the greatest premiums for this issue. Most surviving examples exhibit contact marks, bag abrasions, or friction from years of commerce, placing them in circulated grades worth little beyond face value. Coins preserved directly from original mint rolls, however, can qualify for mint state designations ranging from MS-60 through MS-70. Specialists closely examine luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation, and eye appeal before assigning a grade. Color classifications are generally less dramatic for clad coinage than for copper cents, yet attractive natural toning with shades of gold, blue, violet, or champagne can enhance visual appeal when it develops evenly over time. Certified coins graded MS-67 or higher become substantially scarcer because so few escape the production, transportation, and storage process without acquiring noticeable imperfections, and this scarcity forms the foundation for their stronger collector demand. Professional authentication also plays a critical role in establishing value, particularly as certified registry set competition has intensified. Independent grading services evaluate authenticity, assign standardized grades, and encapsulate coins in tamper-evident holders that provide confidence to buyers and sellers alike. While attractive uncertified examples may appeal to beginning collectors, the strongest prices are generally realized by coins carrying respected third-party certification. In today's market, an authenticated MS-67 example might trade in the neighborhood of approximately $1,150 to $1,600, depending on eye appeal and current demand, while finer certified specimens approaching the top of the population can sometimes realize between roughly $2,700 and $3,900 at major auctions. Those values apply only to professionally graded, exceptional condition coins and should never be interpreted as representative of the average 2001 Rhode Island Quarter found in circulation. Another area that fascinates advanced collectors involves mint errors and die varieties, although genuinely important examples remain far less common than online rumors often suggest. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, struck-through errors, clipped planchets, and dramatic die breaks occasionally appear and can command meaningful premiums when authenticated. Likewise, doubled dies or repunched design elements must be carefully verified because ordinary machine doubling or die deterioration is frequently mistaken for valuable varieties by inexperienced observers. A spectacular authenticated mint error combining outstanding visual impact with high preservation may sell for several $1,000s, especially if its uniqueness attracts competitive bidding. However, every claimed error should be examined critically under magnification, and when appropriate, submitted to a recognized authentication service before any assumptions about rarity or value are made. Counterfeiters rarely target ordinary circulated state quarters, yet high-grade certified coins and unusual errors can motivate deceptive practices. Collectors should pay close attention to weight, diameter, edge reads, metallic appearance, and the fine details of the sailboat, bridge, lettering, and Washington portrait. Genuine coins exhibit consistent design characteristics, sharp rims, and the distinctive appearance produced by the copper-nickel-clad alloy, whereas altered or counterfeit examples often reveal incorrect surfaces, porous textures, weak lettering, or evidence of tooling. Preservation also matters enormously once a desirable example has been located. Coins should never be cleaned, polished, or rubbed, since even gentle cleaning can permanently damage the original mint surface and dramatically reduce collector interest. Instead, experienced numismatists recommend inert holders, archival quality flips, capsules, or certified slabs stored in a stable, low-humidity environment away from rapid temperature fluctuations that may encourage spotting or environmental damage. The enduring appeal of the 2001 Rhode Island State Quarter comes not from sensational claims, but from the intersection of history, artistry, condition rarity, and informed collecting. It reminds us that even coins produced in enormous numbers can develop remarkable distinctions when preserved at the highest levels or when paired with authenticated minting anomalies. Competitive registry collectors continue searching for superior certified examples because population reports reveal just how few survive in elite grades despite the immense original mintage. As auction records have demonstrated, extraordinary prices belong only to verified coins possessing exceptional quality, notable rarity, or significant mint errors, while the overwhelming majority of circulated examples remain ordinary pieces of everyday commerce. That contrast is precisely what makes this quarter so compelling. Every specimen carries the same historic design honoring Rhode Island's maritime legacy, yet only careful examination, professional authentication, accurate grading, and evolving collector demand can determine whether an individual coin represents a simple reminder of the state quarter's era or a genuinely impressive numismatic collectible. Next coin. The 2000p Maryland State Quarter is one of those coins that quietly slips through everyday transactions while hiding a story that extends far beyond its face value. Millions of Americans have handled one without noticing the architectural landmark engraved on its reverse or understanding why it occupies such an important place in the history of modern United States coinage. Over time, however, this Philadelphia Mint issue has developed a reputation among collectors for reasons that go well beyond its attractive design. Certain examples have become remarkably desirable because of their preservation, striking quality, and scarcity in elite grades. As this story unfolds, you'll discover exactly what separates an ordinary circulating quarter from one sought after by advanced numismatists, the factors professional graders examine before assigning a value, and what authenticated examples have brought in the marketplace when exceptional quality meets strong collector demand. Released on February 28, 2000, the Maryland Quarter became the fifth coin in the enormously successful 50-state quarters program and the first state design issued during the new millennium. The program itself had already transformed American coin collecting, encouraging millions of people to search their pocket change in hopes of assembling complete state sets. Maryland's position reflected its status as the seventh state to ratify the United States Constitution in 1788, and the reverse design celebrated one of the state's most enduring landmarks rather than a famous historical figure. The coin entered circulation during a period of tremendous optimism in the United States. The economy was still benefiting from the technology boom. Internet access was rapidly expanding across households, and Americans were embracing the excitement of a brand new century. Against that backdrop, state quarters became miniature history lessons that circulated through every corner of the country, making the Maryland issue both a practical coin and an educational artifact. The reverse design presents the distinctive dome of the Maryland State House in Annapolis, framed by clusters of white oak leaves and accompanied by the state nickname, the Old Line State. Every element was chosen with deliberate symbolism. The Maryland State House is the oldest state capitol in continuous legislative use in the United States and briefly served as the nation's capital during the Confederation period, where George Washington famously resigned his military commission before Congress in 1783. The white oak represents strength, endurance, and Maryland's natural heritage, while the balanced composition creates a sense of dignity appropriate for one of America's oldest states. The reverse concept originated from recommendations developed within Maryland before being refined by artists working with the United States Mint. On the obverse remains John Flanagan's enduring portrait of George Washington, updated for the State Quarters program, but still preserving the familiar profile that generations of Americans have recognized since the Washington Quarter debuted in 1932. The small P mint mark identifies this coin as having been struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest federal mint facility in the United States and one of the nation's primary production centers. Philadelphia manufactured approximately 678.2 million Maryland quarters for circulation, a figure that immediately suggests the coin is common in worn condition. Yet experienced collectors know that mintage alone never determines rarity. During periods of extremely high production, dies gradually wear, striking pressure can vary, and countless coins accumulate contact marks while being transported in bulk bags before entering circulation. As a result, only a tiny percentage of the original production survives today with pristine surfaces, sharp details, and uninterrupted mint luster. That distinction between sheer quantity and true condition rarity is one of the most important lessons in modern numismatics, particularly for widely collected state quarters. Like every standard circulating Washington quarter produced during this era, the 2000 P Maryland issue was struck on a copper core clad with outer layers of copper nickel. Each coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge that both enhances durability and discourages clipping. Production began with long strips of clad metal from which blank discs were punched before undergoing annealing, cleaning, upsetting to form raised rims, and finally striking under enormous pressure between engraved dies. Freshly struck coins displayed vibrant cartwheel luster created by microscopic flow lines formed as the metal filled every recess of the dies. That brilliant surface is one of the first characteristics professional graders evaluate, because once a coin enters circulation, friction and contact quickly diminish the original mint bloom that distinguishes premium mint state examples from ordinary survivors. As collectors examined thousands of Maryland quarters over the years, they discovered that obtaining truly outstanding examples was considerably more difficult than the enormous mintage might suggest. Coins graded below the highest mint state levels remain abundant, but pieces certified at the upper end of the grading scale become increasingly scarce. Grading specialists carefully evaluate strike sharpness on the State House dome, the definition of the white oak leaves, the completeness of lettering, surface preservation, and the strength of original luster. Because this is clad coinage rather than solid copper or silver, traditional color classifications play a less significant role, although attractive natural toning in subtle shades of gold, blue, or lavender can improve eye appeal when it develops naturally over time. Registry set collectors compete intensely for coins that combine exceptional strike quality with nearly flawless surfaces, making population reports an important indicator of rarity at the highest certification levels. That growing competition becomes evident once professionally graded examples begin appearing at major auctions. Authentication and grading by respected third-party services provide confidence that a coin is genuine and accurately evaluated, allowing collectors to compare examples on equal terms. In recent years, authenticated mint state coins at the upper end of the certified population have realized approximately $1,240 to $1,780 when outstanding eye appeal accompanies the grade. Even stronger results, ranging from roughly $2,950 to $3,850, have been achieved by exceptionally preserved pieces certified at elite grades, where surviving populations remain extremely small. Those figures apply only to authenticated coins of extraordinary quality. The overwhelming majority of circulated Maryland quarters continue to trade at or near face value, demonstrating that preservation, originality, grading, collector demand, and scarcity, not simply the date and mint mark, determine whether a coin attracts significant premiums. Naturally, collectors also pay close attention to legitimate mint errors and recognize die varieties, although these should never be confused with ordinary post-mint damage. Minor die chips, machine doubling, scratches, or circulation marks are frequently mistaken for valuable errors despite carrying little or no premium. Truly collectible errors, such as major off-center strikes, broad strikes, struck-through errors, or other dramatic production mistakes, are considerably scarcer and must be authenticated before commanding meaningful value. For the 2000p Maryland quarter, no universally recognized major die variety has achieved the widespread prominence of famous varieties found on certain other United States coins. Consequently, anyone believing they have discovered an unusual example should approach the claim cautiously and seek evaluation from a respected grading service rather than relying solely on internet speculation or unsupported online listings. Authentication has become increasingly important as certified high-grade coins have gained value. Although counterfeiters generally focus on rarer or more expensive numismatic issues, deceptive alterations and fraudulent holders occasionally appear in the marketplace. Collectors should verify the correct weight, diameter, metallic appearance, edge reads, and fine design details under proper magnification. The lettering should remain sharp, the State House dome should exhibit the expected architectural features, and the surfaces should display the characteristic appearance of genuine copper-nickel-clad coinage. Purchasing certified examples from reputable dealers or established auction firms provides an additional level of security. Once acquired, a quality coin deserves careful preservation in inert holders, archival capsules, or professionally sealed grading holders, stored in a stable environment away from excessive humidity, fingerprints, harsh cleaning agents, or abrasive handling that can permanently reduce both eye appeal and market desirability. The lasting appeal of the 2000p Maryland State Quarter ultimately lies in the remarkable contrast between its everyday familiarity and the extraordinary standards required for the finest surviving examples. It commemorates an important chapter of American history through the enduring image of the Maryland State House, while also representing one of the defining coin programs of the modern era. Although hundreds of millions were struck, only a minute fraction remain with the exceptional strike, flawless surfaces, vibrant luster, and certified preservation necessary to compete at the highest levels of the hobby. Auction results consistently demonstrate that impressive prices belong only to authenticated coins possessing genuine condition rarity or verified mint production anomalies, never to every quarter bearing the same date and mint mark. That reality continues to inspire collectors to examine each Maryland quarter with greater care, knowing that history, craftsmanship, preservation, and independent authentication together determine whether a simple circulating coin remains ordinary or earns a distinguished place among the most desirable modern United States quarters. Next coin. At first inspection, the 2000D Massachusetts Statehood Quarter hardly seems like the kind of coin that would spark serious investigation. It shares the same size, color, and denomination as countless other quarters that have circulated through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets across the United States. Yet experienced collectors often pause when they encounter this Denver Mint issue, carefully rotating it beneath a light instead of dropping it into loose change. They know that the most important clues are rarely obvious. Tiny differences in strike quality, surface preservation, and originality can completely change the way this coin is viewed within the numismatic community. As we examine it together, layer by layer, you'll discover why authenticated examples in exceptional condition have become so desirable, what specialists search for before assigning a professional grade, and how only a select group of surviving pieces has earned impressive collector recognition. The investigation begins with the year 2000, when the United States Mint was still in the early stages of the enormously successful 50-state quarters program. Launched in 1999, the series transformed ordinary Americans into casual coin collectors almost overnight. Massachusetts became the sixth state honored in the sequence, reflecting its admission to the Union in 1788. At the time, the United States economy remained strong, fueled by technological innovation and widespread consumer confidence despite signs that the dot-com boom was approaching its peak. Millions of people eagerly searched every new quarter released into circulation, filling maps and albums while learning about the history represented on each reverse design. That enthusiasm created an unusually broad collector base, ensuring that the Massachusetts Quarter would be examined not only by experienced numismatists, but also by families, students, and first-time hobbyists across the nation. Turning the coin over reveals the feature that immediately commands attention: the iconic Minuteman statue standing confidently before an outline of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Above the design appears the inscription, "The Bay State," while the date 1788 commemorates the year Massachusetts ratified the United States Constitution. The Minuteman is based on Daniel Chester French's famous statue in Concord, honoring the citizen soldiers who answered the call during the opening stages of the American Revolutionary War. The outline of the state provides geographic identity without distracting from the central figure, allowing the design to communicate patriotism, sacrifice, and independence in a remarkably compact space. The reverse concept was adapted through the United States Mint's design process, while the obverse continues to feature John Flanagan's enduring portrait of George Washington, a familiar image that has anchored the Washington Quarter series since 1932. Now the investigation shifts to a detail that seasoned collectors notice almost immediately: the tiny D mint mark beneath Washington's portrait. That single letter identifies the coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest coin production facilities in the country. During 2000, Denver produced approximately 628.6 million Massachusetts Statehood Quarters, an enormous quantity intended to satisfy nationwide circulation demand. At first glance, such a high mintage appears to eliminate any possibility of scarcity. However, experienced collectors know that rarity is often measured not by how many coins were struck, but by how many survive in exceptional condition decades later. Heavy production schedules, transportation in large mint bags, and years of circulation introduced contact marks, abrasions, and wear to the overwhelming majority of these quarters, leaving only a comparatively small population that still displays outstanding preservation. A closer examination of the coin's physical characteristics explains why collectors inspect every surface so carefully. Like other circulating Washington quarters of its era, the 2000 D Massachusetts issue is composed of a pure copper core clad with outer layers of copper nickel, producing its familiar silver-colored appearance. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge designed to discourage clipping while providing a distinctive tactile feel. Each blank planchet began as part of long-clad metal strips before being punched, annealed, cleaned, upset to create raised rims, and struck under immense pressure between engraved dies. Immediately after striking, the coin displayed brilliant cartwheel luster formed by microscopic metal flow lines. Those delicate surfaces remained vulnerable from the very beginning, and even brief contact with neighboring coins could leave tiny marks that eventually influenced professional grading decades later. This is where the investigation becomes especially interesting, because collectors rarely judge a coin simply by whether it looks shiny. Instead, they begin with a systematic examination of the date, mint mark, lettering, strike quality, and overall eye appeal. On the Massachusetts Quarter, specialists study the sharpness of the Minuteman's clothing, facial features, and musket, along with the crispness of the state outline and surrounding inscriptions. The highest quality strikes reveal noticeably stronger detail than examples produced from worn dies or struck with slightly reduced pressure. Luster is evaluated under rotating light, while the surfaces are inspected for bag marks, hairlines, spots, or friction. Although clad coinage is not categorized by color in the same way as copper cents, naturally developed peripheral toning in soft shades of gold, blue, or violet can enhance desirability if it remains original and visually balanced. These subtle characteristics often separate an ordinary mint state coin from one capable of attracting intense competition among registry set collectors. Professional grading services have become central to determining market value because even experienced collectors may disagree over tiny differences in preservation. Coins certified in lower mint state grades remain relatively available, but examples reaching the upper end of the grading scale become dramatically scarcer. Population reports consistently demonstrate that only a limited number survive with nearly flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal. As a result, authenticated coins certified around MS-67 have sold in a range of roughly $1,320 to $1,760, depending on current demand, while finer certified examples approaching the highest known grades have realized approximately $3,050 to $3,980 in competitive auctions. Those results apply only to authenticated, premium quality specimens. The vast majority of circulated Massachusetts quarters, and even many uncirculated examples, never approach those levels because grading, originality, luster, strike quality, and collector demand ultimately determine market performance rather than the date alone. Naturally, every serious investigation also includes the possibility of mint errors and die varieties, but this is an area where careful verification matters more than excitement. Many online claims involve ordinary machine doubling, minor die deterioration, or circulation damage that carries little numismatic significance. Genuine mint errors such as major off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, or dramatic struck-through errors are considerably less common and are valued primarily because they occurred during the manufacturing process rather than afterward. For the 2000D Massachusetts Quarter, there is no widely recognized major die variety comparable to the most famous varieties found in other United States series. Consequently, collectors should approach extraordinary claims cautiously and rely on respected authentication services before concluding that an unusual feature represents a valuable mint-produced rarity. Authentication extends beyond identifying errors because the growing popularity of certified modern coins has encouraged occasional counterfeiting and deceptive alterations. Fortunately, genuine examples possess well-documented specifications that make careful examination effective. Experienced numismatists verify the correct weight, diameter, edge reads, metallic appearance, and the precision of the lettering before evaluating finer details. The Minuteman should exhibit the expected sculptural definition, the outline of Massachusetts should appear properly proportioned, and the surfaces should display the characteristic texture associated with authentic copper-nickel clad coinage. Certified holders from established third-party grading services provide additional confidence, especially when purchasing high-grade examples. Once acquired, collectors preserve these coins in inert holders or professionally encapsulated slabs, avoiding cleaning, polishing, fingerprints, and excessive humidity, all of which can permanently diminish originality and collector appeal. By the time every clue has been examined, the true significance of the 2000D Massachusetts Statehood Quarter becomes much clearer. It is not a legendary rarity because of its original production numbers, nor is every surviving example destined for exceptional value. Instead, its importance comes from the remarkable combination of American history, thoughtful artistic symbolism, the enduring popularity of the State Quarters program, and the surprisingly difficult challenge of locating coins that remain virtually untouched since leaving the Denver Mint. That is why advanced collectors continue searching through mint sets, original rolls, certified populations, and auction offerings, knowing that only authenticated examples displaying outstanding preservation, superior strike quality, vibrant original luster, and exceptional eye appeal consistently command the strongest premiums. The investigation ultimately reveals that this familiar quarter rewards patience and careful observation, proving that the smallest details often tell the most compelling stories in modern American numismatics.